How's it going, everyone? This is Taylor Taglianetti from the National Organization of Italian Americans in Film and Television. I'm here on the computers with comedian Eric D'Alessandro. How you doing? How's my pronunciation?
I was just gonna say that's the best anyone's ever said, ever.
Yeah, no, I saw you get a little ticked off at the other interviewers, so I was like, I gotta listen to all of them and make sure I got it right.
Yeah, that was amazing. But your last name is probably gets butchered too, so you're used to it.
Oh yeah, and I've been getting a lot of flack because I say it the American way. So let's start off from the very beginning.
Sure.
2009, Maria Marie. It kind of exploded on YouTube, right?
I
So
mean, it wasn't. It's not really viral in terms of like what people envision. I think at the peak, it was probably like I don't know, 50,000 views, but I think 49,500 of those views came from people on Staten Island and Brooklyn. So my little world just like closed in. It felt like bigger than it was, I think.
yeah, but no, that's the best. I feel like, that's where it all starts, your hometown, and then it just starts getting bigger and bigger. Where was that moment for you? Was it Maria Marie where you felt like you really wanted to go after this professionally, comedy?
Yeah, I think that was sort of when I realized like, wow, other people actually like this because, I've never had that moment of like, oh, now I want to do comedy. That I've never ever not wanted to be in movies or do comedy or act or whatever. That since I was 4 years old. I mean, even younger, I've always wanted to do this. So I never really had an exact moment. But the Marie Marie thing was like, oh, people that I don't know find this funny. So it's kind of like that validated it to a higher degree than it ever had been before, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how well it holds up.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool. I mean,
Okay, guys, my 16th candle goes to my boyfriend, Anthony Michael. Babe, there's about 1,000,000 other people I should be with who would treat me like a real lady. But I love that you're 4 years older than me. I love how our relationship is based on popularity and not real love. I love that you cheat on me with my friends. I love how you don't respect me or anyone in my family. And I really love how you sound like you have 11 words in your vocabulary. Babe, I just love you. So will you please come up and light my 16th candle?
I mean, the first time, I'm sure this kid remembers, but I got recognized. Blink-182 had a reunion tour in 2009, and some kid from Queens took a picture of me in Madison Square Garden. I was like, that is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. That was wild.
Crazy. So you
Yeah.
started off just video editing, like, since you were a kid, you said. Do you think that, I think, because I edit videos too, like timing is everything when it comes to that. And that's all what comedy is about. Did you feel that those experiences really had some sort of influence on you as a comedian in terms of timing?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. I think it was both. Like, I think they helped each other out. Like, I think I'm good at editing because I'm good at writing jokes. I think I'm good at writing jokes because I'm good at editing. It's sort of like this cycle, sort of. And editing definitely was just something I was super, super into because I just couldn't do it as a kid. I didn't have the software. I didn't know how to do it. So when I finally got like a Mac and Final Cut, my head exploded and I was able to just go crazy. And when I edited video yearbooks for a couple of years, and my partner, who was really, really talented with like graphic designing and stuff, he always told me that like we made a good team because my timing was always really good. But yeah, I mean, if people notice it, I'm not going to say like myself, oh, I think it's great. But if someone says, oh, I can see the connection, I think that I could probably see that too. But like I said, I think they coincide very well.
Yeah. I think what's cool about your work too is that, you started out on YouTube and now you're like on all these different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. And, some of those videos are just like a minute long. And I think that, that's really a skill too, getting that down, so fast. And then you're kind of having to bring that, those ideas onto the stage because now you were just on tour.
Yep.
How do you, open up those ideas so that, you keep up with that rhythm?
Yeah, so what's funny about that is I sort of like struggled to find a groove for a while, and then it wasn't until I moved to LA and I realized like you have to just go and just don't think, just write. And I think once I started, it was sort of like the opposite. Like it wasn't like I found things on Instagram that would work on stage. It was sort of the opposite. I found things that would work on stage and I worked them out on Instagram. So being held to that 60-second maximum time, you only have 60 seconds. I think I got better at cutting the fat out of jokes. I was able to just, set up punchline, and close strong. And I literally learned that through making 3 Instagram videos a week. And then the ones that have 10,000 likes, those usually kill on stage no matter where I am. And then the ones who have not so many likes, they don't do as well. So it's very much a modern open mic format that I sort of carved out myself, not really realizing it, but yeah, it's sort of like the opposite of like, I got good on stage, I think, because I started to crack the formula in my head of how to write a joke instead of, because on stage I would ramble a lot or just never really find the joke. And I think that made me hone in the material a lot better.
Yeah, totally. And I was also reading that, you would always say that you were kind of like the funniest person, like growing up at a group of friends. So what do you think? Was it just something natural for you to come up with these, jokes and stuff like that? Or are you really studying like, the greats? Like I know Dave Chappelle's one of your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, comedy is pretty mathematic when you think about it. If you set something up in the beginning, you got to make sure that and the next thing pay off in the end. So is that something you're like really strategically thinking about, or is it just natural for you?
A little bit of both. I've said before that like everyone that I know, everyone in my family and my friend group growing up was hysterical. My 2 like best friends were just really gifted at like a young age of just coming up with funny things. My brothers were really funny. My favorite band growing up was Blink-182. And if you watch Blink-182 on stage, it was literally like half a stand-up act. One of their albums, there was just like a half hour of them just telling jokes on stage and being silly. So everywhere I looked, everyone was just really funny. And my friends and I were always comedy geeks as well. We loved pausing like stand-up specials and saying, oh wow, like you see how you went into that and how that you didn't even notice where that joke came from. And I've always been a little bit of a geek. And just noticing things that other people didn't notice, I think came from definitely living on Staten Island and not feeling like a Staten Islander. So I was able to sort of like be this mole, like this secret spy of like pointing out things that no one else really notices because I felt really different. But yeah, it's definitely both. It's natural. And then it's also when you grow up, you realize, oh, I can strategically use this to my benefit.
Sure. And like you said, your comedy really appeals, I think, first and foremost to Staten Islanders, New Yorkers, Italians. And I mean, one of my favorite ones is the communion bit on Island Boulevard. My mom and I laugh at that one like all the time.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so for my non-Catholic friends out there, the sacrament of communion is when you're old enough to receive the body of Christ. Unless you're from where I'm from, then apparently your first communion is when your parents build a fucking Louis Vuitton pop-up shop in the rooftop suite of the Hilton Hotel. Mrs. Brucaleri, this is our gold package. What's the occasion? My 7-year-old put on a white dress. Oh, so you and your family are big churchgoers? We haven't been to one since she was baptized. Oh, so why are you? I don't gotta go to church to have a relationship with the Heavenly Father, okay? I'm very spiritual. God, it feels good to be home. I was driving around this weekend. I passed by this huge gala with fucking unicorns, red carpet, fireworks. I was like, man, I can't believe I didn't hear about the Sultan of Dubai being on Holland Boulevard. Until an airplane flew overhead. Welcome to Sophia's First Holy Communion. Brought to you by Pucciarelli's Pork Store. Does this fucking island need to turn everything into a reason to tell people, we have a leased Mercedes? We get it, okay? You spend your money foolishly. We get it. Why are you dragging Jesus into your materialism fetish? These dessert tables are looking like Food Network challenges. All right, Bakies, you got 45 minutes to make a 9-tier cake that says God bless Lucia's.
I was wondering, like that comedy is really specific. And you do open it up kind of, to talk about like everyday, frustrations. But what is it when you go to, across, I know you live on the West Coast now and you bring those jokes there. How do you, I think it's a skill to kind of recover when those jokes don't land. And I saw in your vlogs that you said that, sometimes that happens. Or how do you adapt to those like new audiences that aren't used to your brand of comedy?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, any comedian knows what it's like to just bomb. I mean, I don't think whether or not the audience is from where you're from or not, sometimes your jokes just aren't going to land like you imagine. And I think you get used to that just quickly. You just act like it didn't happen. You keep going. I mean, I've seen a lot of comedians that really harp, well, you guys didn't laugh at that. And like they really live in the failure. I just feel like if you don't even notice, if the comedian doesn't even like acknowledge it, the audience member usually doesn't even notice that they were supposed to laugh there. And as far as like the Italian New York things go, I do a lot of that because people want me to do that.
Like my women thick and I like my cold cuts thin. Getting checked out by this girl and all her friends. Swimming in debt, but look at this Benz I'm in. I'm fresher than the mozzarella made in my kitchen, man, I swear.
When I did a show in Atlanta, Detroit, DC, Toronto, I have a lot of different demographics that come out to see me. And it's just like anything else. As long as you give the audience the information they need to know, it's funny. Like, I love so many different comedians, Aziz Ansari, Margaret Cho. I don't know what it's like to be an Indian man in America. I don't know what it's like to be an Asian woman in America, but they give you the background. My mom is difficult because A, B, and C, and then you laugh because we're all connected in this human way that funny is funny. And I think as long as you explain to them what this is, like I do jokes about Brooklyn, and people, they may not know what Brooklyn is the way I do, but they get it as soon as you paint the picture. It's like, it's this place where my dad and my mom used to bring me to do this old school stuff, and now it's like everyone has a beard and a top hat, and then they get it because there's areas in Detroit that are like that, or Atlanta, or something like that. And yeah, I think as long as you just explain to them, I have so many fans that are of all different backgrounds and ethnicities, and they say, this reminds me so much of my mom, this reminds me so much of my dad, oh my God, my friends are like this with the weddings and the obsession with materialism and all this stuff. So yeah, I definitely lean into it a little bit more when I'm in Brooklyn and Staten Island, because I can make specific jokes about Roland Roaster or something. But yeah, it's a lot of fun figuring out how similar we all are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, what you have sort of this advantage of, and I think that's really attractive about your style of comedy, is that you kind of take these, old school sensibilities and you put this, progressive, honest, raw lens on everything. Like, how do you find that balance? Because I think that's pretty tough, but I think that's exactly what people really like about you, is your kind of common sense approach about things.
Yeah, I think that's just another like natural thing. I grew up here, which is extremely closed-minded. You do anything that's different than anybody else, you're weird. I know girls who I was like dating when I was younger who thought it was weird that I played instruments. Like, they thought it was like, I don't know anybody who plays that. Like, they just thought it was so weird. And then, I don't dress like the guys that grew up here. I don't act like the people. So, and then I go to LA and I feel like they're sometimes like a little too much. So I've always never really felt like one of them. You know what I mean? I never really pick a party. I hate the political party system. I think everyone hates each other these days. And a lot of these people are saying the same thing, but they just need to be right, or you need to agree with me or whatever. And I've always it is just common sense. And most comedians are extremely, down the middle. They'll offend everyone. They'll question everything. And I guess that's just what we are inherently. I've always just questioned, like, why are we doing this? And people just do it because everyone else is doing it. I'm just like, well, why? You all want the same thing, right? Why are we acting as though it's this contest where you have to be right or I have to be right? Like, we all want the same thing. And I think I also can open people's eyes to how stubborn they're being with these crazy philosophies they have in their minds, because them and their friends all think the same thing. So I think it's good to have someone who sounds like them and acts like them saying something different. It doesn't come from this pretentious way of like, I know better than everyone. It's more just like, I'm one of you. I think like you think, but why are you agreeing with this ridiculous stuff? So it just, yeah, I think when you don't like look down or point a finger, it's way easier to digest like a different idea.
I think that's such a great point. And digestible is sort of the word that I think always comes up when I watch your stuff, especially one of your latest videos about America's toxic relationship with politics, is that, you started the video saying, I don't know anything, like, and people need to admit that more,
Yeah.
And you do it in such a way that you just like kind of like bring everyone in with your comedy, and it's a pretty serious video.
And a lot of people online with a lot of followers or famous people or athletes or whatever, they'll think if I post something really edgy and really true, the other side will have to agree with me, right? And all you're doing is making them hate you more. And if you don't choose a side, you're an enemy of both. We created this environment. And yesterday, I posted this. I thought this image represented my support for black people to be treated equally, and that's why I posted it. And let's ask an honest question. Do you disagree with that? Who do you know that can honestly say with all of their heart, I don't think black people should be treated equally? I don't know anyone. We all had to read To Kill a Mockingbird in school. I watched the movie. And now because we're forced to choose sides, people are hijacking these ideas to equal something else. And now, posting this, people think I somehow support violence against cops. I lost over 500 followers on Instagram, probably more by now, but 500 people don't like me anymore because they've decided they're gonna decide how I feel about this. And that's the problem with picking a political side.
I had a couple of messages of people who said to me actually after that, apologizing to me that they unfollowed me and said that I was wrong. And I was like, wow, if you could change one person's mind with something like that, then that's pretty powerful, I think. When the world we live in now, you notice that many people just don't admit that they are clueless. They always want to lecture you. This is why I'm right. And I'm just like, if I'm clueless, so are you. Because I know you, and you didn't study political science. You didn't study evolution. You didn't study climate change. You don't know anything. So just like have an open mind. Don't say that, I'm not saying I have the answers, but just be humble enough to know that you don't have the answers either, and to not speak of it so matter-of-factly. And I think that's what everyone does. They speak. And both sides. I have friends from California who are so blind, have no idea what they're talking about, and just go with what celebrities say. And then I have my friends out here who just say what their parents say, just wholeheartedly. I'm like, you're not really even being logical with your decisions. You're just saying what you want to be true, and it's just irresponsible.
No, absolutely. And I think in some ways you're becoming a bit of a role model. And I think recently I do think so. Like I've seen what you said about, really want to inspire kids from Staten Island to go after, more than what they're told, to, get off the island if they want, and really go after things that make them happy. And even I had seen your video talking about anxiety, and I think that's really important, especially now, seeing that, maybe people are your fans and they see, you might struggle with things that they are too. I think it's such a great thing. And I was wondering, what is your, sort of thoughts on chasing your dreams when it might come at the cost of being, mentally, challenging?
Yeah, it's certainly tough. I had my share of lumps, and it was nice to read a lot of comments that like I would never have guessed you struggled with anxiety. I guess I know how to hide it well or whatever, but I've always felt that like it's such a disservice we do to like children when we tell them they can do anything they want, follow your dreams, you can do anything, and then when they turn 25, that turns around and like, well, grow up. That's for kids. You don't have to follow your dreams. Just get a job that you don't like, get a pension, and just be miserable like me. And to me, that was always just like such a sad existence. And the thing driving me forward was just be happy. And like to your point of like, it does come at a price. Like there were times when I couldn't go to bachelor parties. I couldn't go to trips to Atlantic City or whatever that my friends are doing because I just didn't have money, because I was spending my money on an acting class or headshots or something. And I didn't have a full-time job because a lot of times you just need to be ready on a Wednesday at 12 for something. So like, I would do stuff like that and it would make me depressed. I would be like, what are you doing with your life? Like I felt like a loser, but then I knew that like, this is what needs to be sacrificed. You need to just like find your way. And I would drop my girlfriend off at work, or I drop her off like the bus stop to go into Manhattan for like a job or something. And I would just go home like, what are you doing? And I would just try to figure out. And it definitely sucked, but I knew that the light at the end of the tunnel was going to be bright. And I just knew that if you could find a way to do it, I'd be fine. And like you said, Dave Chappelle is one of my absolute heroes. And he said in one of his interviews with his dad, when his dad asked him about going into comedy, he said, well, if I can make as much as a teacher doing comedy, I think that's a success. And I was just like, oh my God, there you go. Like a lot of my friends are cops and firemen. If I could make the same salary as they do, just making jokes or making videos online rather, then that's a win for me. So I just kept that going. And I think if people just need to be comfortable with not caring what other people think about you, just don't say it, really believe it. It takes a lot. a lot of people say they don't care what other people think about them when they wholeheartedly do. You need to really not care about being 26, 27, 28. When I moved to LA, 28, about not having anything to show for it, not having an engagement ring, or all the things that people gauge success on. You just need to not give a crap about that and just stay true to yourself. And in the end, it will work out. I just believe that.
I love that. And I'm with you too on that. I think that also because of this pandemic, people are starting to put into perspective like what they value, like all this time that we have, like we better make sure that we go after exactly what we want after we've seen like all, you know, the misery and devastation during this time. You know, I think people are really going to take that away. I wanted to ask you, like, you know, I know like you said, you know, you really want to go after your dreams, you know, no matter what the expense is. You have so much that you do. You're a director, a writer, producer, a singer. You know, how do you decide what you're going to focus on? And I know they're all related to comedy, but, you know, it's a lot, man.
Oh, no, trust me, there's a reason why I'm speaking to you at 30 and not 20. That took me a long time. I would say like maybe I gave 5 different things 20% of my energy over the last decade. There was a time where I was like, I don't want to be funny anymore. I just really wanted to write music. And then that didn't work, or like trying to just be a serious actor, and that didn't really work. And then I think once I came back to who I really am deep down, born to be, was just funny, which was my gift, I guess, if you could call it, from God or whatever. When I gave that 100% of my time, that's when everything changed. When I ignored everything else, like, Eric, you want to play the guitar, you want to sing and make music, but no one else really values that from you. It's like Michael Jordan, you know, he was born to play basketball. When he tried to play baseball, people just wanted him to play basketball again. And I've realized that over the past like 5 years, like, I'm not saying I'm Michael Jordan, but I'm saying like, you know, just a quick metaphor, like that's what I was born to do. And like you said earlier, I was always the funny one. I was always the clown. I was always making videos. And then, so once you know what your gift is, you just have to really like not like fight it and just lean into it. You know what your God-given talent is. And yeah, I think once I just made it all about, let's face facts, you're a comedian. You're a comedian. You could do that other stuff on the side, but this is who you are. Once I embraced that, I think that's when I really got comfortable. And it happened rather quickly once I really just focused just on one thing.
Now that you're so focused, what's next?
Oh man, I mean, I like to make some of those other things that you just said come true. I love to write. I'm almost finished writing a movie I would like to get made one day. I have a series I would like to pitch. I have these little cartoons that I would like to make into like some sort of series. It's just, yeah, all of the same good things. That any opportunity that comes, I'm happy to explore it. I just want to keep making things that are fun and just make me feel like a 7-year-old for the rest of my life. That's all I've ever wanted, was to just feel like I was young and having fun. And, you know, this is a part of my job, which is fun, to speak to people like you. It's not like I have to go dig a ditch with my dad, which I wanted to just jump off a bridge when I was doing stuff like that. So anything that has to do with making people smile and laugh is just, I'm happy to do it.
I love that. I'm wishing you continued success. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
our spirits during this time. It's